Welcome back to another episode of Super Castlevania 4 for the Super Nintendo. In this episode we're going to tackle Stage 6, which is actually sort of a remake of the first stage of the original Castlevania. You'll notice a lot of familiar terrain and enemies as we go along here. This is actually also the first stage within Dracula's castle in this game, so you're going to notice an increase in difficulty with monsters taking more hits to be destroyed and a lot more monsters in general. So let's get started here. You'll notice lots of bats up in the ceiling and rafters area that'll kind of swoop down at you throughout the rest of the game, so you kind of have to keep your eyes open for those. While I'm recording today, it's actually snowing right now, which is pretty sad, even for where I live. Basically, autumn started when? About 2 weeks ago. I think the equinox was on the 22nd of September, right? So that gives me, about 2 weeks of fall, and now we're basically into winter. So, anyway, while you enjoy your warmer weather, I'm sure, I'll enjoy my snow, or at least as much as I can. So, we're going to leave the grand entrance here and head up towards the chandeliers. This area is actually one of the most unique in this level, and in the game in general. On these chandeliers, you actually only want to jump when it's swinging toward the right. The inertia of the chandelier will actually carry you to the next platform if you almost jump straight up. If you try to jump when it's swinging left, the inertia will be too fast and you'll end up actually not going far enough and fall. And obviously there's nothing below us, so you're gonna die. But if you're careful and you take it slow, you should have no problem here. This is actually one of those stages that kind of sticks with you long after you've played it, just because of all the creative platforming that they put into it. It's actually also one of the longest you'll find. As we go through this, you'll notice that it's got about, I think, 7 or 8 different screens that we're going to go through. This area I like to call the parlor of the pails, because we start meeting our first ghost enemies here. You gotta watch out for chandeliers too, they'll come crashing down, and if they hit you, they take off quite a bit of damage here. There's actually our first secret passage right here you can head down, and you'll find an old man and his ghost dog. And if you kind of basically just put your whip like this, you'll let the dog die and the old man will sit and mourn it. It'll get him out of the way for you at least. And now you can harvest everything down here. You'll end up with quite a few money bags. There's a piece of meat right here, if you need it. And then, heading down here to the left end, you get several sub-weapons. You start with the knife, then you get the axe, then the holy water, and finally a cross. And you can take whatever you want. Frankly, I don't care what I get because I rarely use sub-weapons in this game. I kind of like to rely on my whip. So here we meet the Marie Antoinettes, as I call them. They kind of look like what I think she would look like. You kind of want to take them one at a time. And here we have a phantasm. These are probably one of the most annoying monsters in this game because they take 3 hits, but you only have basically have time for 2 hits, and then you gotta duck. And then let them go around and hit them as they're coming back down. There's a secret compartment here with our double sub-weapon. And more phantasms coming up. There's another one right here. You can sometimes kill it on that first go, but don't rely on it. There's a meat here if you need it. But I don't. I've probably played this stage more than any stage of this game, so I've gotten pretty good at it. I'm already at 99 hearts, actually. That's pretty sad. Make sure to whip this candle if you really want it before you jump on that platform, because they will flip on you. We're about halfway done. It's a pretty long stage, as I said. This part coming up here is actually the most dangerous in the whole stage, in my opinion, because it sort of relies on luck. Basically, you've got to jump across all these platforms and then kill the skeleton at the end and hope he doesn't knock you off the edge, which he thankfully didn't. With this coffin, if you go past it and then whip it, you can usually kill it before it hits you if you hang your whip like that afterwards. There's meat right here if you need it, though, so even if you get hit, it's not a big issue. There we go, and that should take us to the haunted crypt area. Basically, all it is a whole bunch of skeletons, so enjoy, I'm getting hit. Usually I don't do that. I'm kind of getting impatient. And there's some blood skeletons, though that's our first encounter with them, I think. Those actually die in 2 hits, but then they are revived shortly thereafter automatically. So if you need to kill them, make sure you get past them quickly, because they'll do that. They reanimate pretty quick. But they die again after 1 hit from then on. There is a meat here at least, thankfully. That'll give us a little more life. These little hands in the wall will grab hold of you, so you have to kill the phantom skeleton beyond it right away. Otherwise he'll stab you. Slowly but surely we're getting there. Alright, now we're into the Ghostly Ballroom. This is actually the last area of this stage, thankfully. Pretty long one, as I said. If you can get to here, this is actually the continue point. And from this point on, you can basically do this part as long as you want, as long as you can make it to the end of this area without dying, because there's a 1-up that you can farm endlessly. And I'll show you that once we get to it. Make sure to get rid of these banquet tables, otherwise they go crazy. And we meet our first ghosts right now. I recommend not moving from your area until you've killed each ghost. Otherwise, you'll start spawning multiple copies, and they get pretty tough when there's 3 or 4 on screen at the same time. Of course, there is a rosary right there you can use if you need it. There we go. Almost there. One last set of ghosts right up here. Okay, we should be good for the boss. The 1-up I was talking about is right here. As long as you can make it to that each run, you'll basically have an infinite supply of life, so you can keep trying as long as you want, including the boss up here. This is the boss area. Basically, we're going to fight against a pair of ghosts named Fred Askare and Paula Abghoul. And I'll pause it here. Basically, you want to start in the center of the area up here and whip them once, and then you're going to try to hop up to the highest point on the left before dropping back to the middle. And you want to allow them to kind of follow closely behind you, otherwise they're not going to gain the height that you need to avoid their attacks. Once you reach the middle, they're going to perform their first attack, which is always the triple arrow. You want to try to whip diagonally up towards them. It'll get rid of the arrows first of all, and if you whip diagonally, it'll count as a full hit as opposed to... sorry, I didn't even pause there. Anyway, it'll count as a full hit as opposed to just a random whip swing, which only takes off 1 health point as opposed to 2 for a full. Once you get as many hits as you can in that first attack, then you want to head up to the right and do the same exact thing. Let him follow close behind, and once you get to that top platform, drop down to the middle again. And you should be able to finish him off on that second time. Okay, let's give it a shot. First we'll stand in the center here. Get an initial hit on him. Let him kind of follow you up and then drop back down. Whip diagonally 4 times, and then kind of let him follow you up to the top here, and then drop back down and finish him off. Not hard at all. Didn't even take any damage. Fine. So that's about it. We'll see you on the next stage, stage 7, on the next Let's Play. Thanks for sticking around, and we'll see you soon. Bye.